Hello and welcome back to 50 Years of Chess with myself, Robert Radford. I want to bring to you today a game that was played in 2005 in January, and my opponent was George Wright of Harambe. I played him a few times and he's never easy to overcome. He's quite imaginative. He tries to find ways to attack you even when he's under attack, and this is a typical game that he plays and we played. So let's look at it, shall we? The game entered with I played e4 with white. George plays e6 and I played c4. He played b6, so we're going into a Keres d-pawn opening system. I don't really know much about this. I don't know how much he knows about it, but so I just lock the centre now with d4, bishop b7 and bishop d3. He played knight c6. I thought this was wrong, but I checked it on the Explorer and it's all booked so far. I played knight f3 and then I didn't bother looking anymore. He played knight b4. Now, most times you would move your bishop or something, but it's pointless because even if I go back to c2, he'll still take it. And then he would, if I have to go, queen takes. And so I may as well just continue developing my pieces. I don't like to give up pieces and lose development in doing so. So I castled, he took the bishop, I retook, and then he played knight e7. Rook e1 to solidify the centre, and then he's gone with the knight to b6. Don't really know why, because he's got nowhere to go there. Just to get the bishop out, I guess, but why he couldn't have played knight f6 to begin with, maybe, or something, I don't know. But, so I played a6 just to shut down his bishop even more. Bishop e7, knight c3, castles b4. He pushed on his a pawn, and I pushed my b pawn on. And it's I'm getting space here now. I was locking in his bishop with c6, leaving holes at d6. So I pushed with d5. He took my b pawn, and I pushed on. So I took the pawn on b4, 5, and we exchanged bishop for knight. Queen d3, rook c5. So I said move it or lose it, and he did. He played it to rook h5. I'm hitting his weak pawn on b6, so his queen isn't going anywhere at the moment. So I then played rook c1 to grab that very interesting open c file, with a great chance of anchoring my rook on c7 supported by the pawn. So George has come into e5. He wants a swap of knights so that he could probably play queen h4 attacking my a2 pawn. He retook first of all though with the rook, which he needed to do because I could just go knight back to f3. So I instead of attacking him in any ways, the correct and right thing to do was to support the e-pawn with f3. So then he's brought out his queen now, and he's really looking quite active. The one thing I got going for me is the open c-file. So I dropped the bishop back to attack his queen. He went to h5, and now I brought my rook into. I've really got some control now because he's got a very weak d-pawn, and he can't protect it except bishop back to c8, which wouldn't be much good after rook e to c1 with a double rook attack on that bishop, which is only supported by his rook on f8. So instead he supported the bishop and decided to let the pawn drop. But I'm in no hurry to get it because I want to first of all secure my b pawn because he's hitting that twice with his rook and queen, so I played a4. Now he's brought his rook across and he's got heavy guns, rook and a queen bearing down on my king, but there's nothing there at the moment. So I double my rooks. Now he's come down with his queen with a mate threat, so that I have to do something about that. So I decided to put the bishop in there rather than disturb the pawn and still have an attack on his queen. So his queen had to go back. That's given me a great tempi. I took the bishop. No, he can't take because it's going to be mate. So he's gone across to d8. So greedy little man I am, I took that pawn as well on d7. Still can't take because it's going to be mate. So it's gone to f7. Now, looking at the odds on Stockfish, it's showing me as a plus 12. So this game is well and truly won now. He's a piece down, pawn down, and his position is not so good. He's still having to go though. He's trying to get me to move my bishop away, so I just move my pawn up. And his king and queen are going no place. They're not doing anything there. So I can bring down my other rook, which is now making him drop his rook back. Okay, so I tried to attack his e-pawn on 6, but it's not going to happen. I think his plan is just to defend that pawn on g7. So I move my king up out of the way first of all, so that there's no possibility if I move my queen of him coming in, queen to e2. Now he's given himself an escape square for his king, and I said, would you like to swap? And he has no choice. And it was at this point where I moved that queen to f3 that George had decided that it was pointless continuing, which it was, and he resigned. So that's a game between myself and George Wright in the Bristol Congress 2005. Thank you for watching. Bye.